I agree, to be honest. I think that's very true. But just to address the issue of the amount of aid that goes on to Africa, I mean, the article says that I think it's $50 billion which goes on to Africa. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I'm glad the writer also points out that there's a vast amount of money that comes out. So is it really aid? Mm-hmm. That's the question that I conclude from the piece. Right. But generally speaking, for instance, a country such as Israel receives a lot more than the amount that the whole of sub-Saharan Africa receives in aid, only to spend on military expenditure. Right. And Egypt, neighbouring to Israel, also receives a very large sum, which is probably half the equivalent of the whole amount that goes on to sub-Sahara. So it is embarrassing in one sense.
But what kind of paradigm shift do you think should happen, Marco, for people to start thinking more inventively about this? Because these are not insoluble economic problems, but perhaps there's an attitude of looking at Africa as poor, helpless victim, you know, as opposed to looking at these as potential equal partners where both sides can benefit.
I think that there's the political aspect where the West has to be seen to doing something. And as long as it's seen to be doing something, then that keeps the voters at home sort of happy that something is being done.
Like a token gesture, perhaps?
It's yes, in many ways a token gesture. Whether we should get involved more is a problem, because if you look at the international law side of things, these are sovereign countries. Yes. So our ability to go in there and tell them what to do and would be seen perhaps as trying to recolonize them. So it's a difficult...
But it's happening already. In the name of the war on terror, the US government is going all over the place, especially Africa, and demanding certain conditions before it gives aid in order to reassure itself that these places are not havens for what they call terrorists. So the conditions can be given, but it's just a question for what? Final word from you, Ronald.
I think African nation states and the question of sovereignty is a big joke, to be honest, because no African state can actually dictate the terms of the aid that it receives, or for that matter, define its own foreign policy agenda, if you like, without the consultation or the approval of either the EU or US. Yes. And it is very sad at this day and age for us to be talking about the amount that Africa receives, rather than addressing the conditions under which it is imposed, including foreign policy.
Well, we're discussing it. It's in the papers, and the global discussion around money and aid, etc., is becoming much more integrated as a result of this crisis. Maybe some positive things will come out from all these discussions. And talking of discussions, let's move on to our third story, which is covered in today's Guardian. Banks are braced for city riots during G20 summit after attack on Goodwin's home. Financial sector staff are warned to keep a low profile. Former RBS boss is shaken after an early morning raid. Now, when you saw this, did you sort of think, oh, well, chickens have come home to roost, I'm not surprised, people are reactive, they're always looking for somebody to target, or are you actually alarmed by this development?
No, I saw it coming some time ago. Yeah. I was, in principle, totally against the bailouts of the banks, and the more that it's gone on, the more it's becoming a total farce. Yes. We're talking billions of pounds of taxpayers' money, which for the average person who's just lost their job after working diligently all their lives, paying their taxes, and finding that the way that the average person will be seeing this is that the rich people are being bailed out. Yes. And if you think 30 billion, 60 billion, these huge sums that are simply being given to shore up effectively failing institutions, if that money was spent in a rather different way. Exactly. So that it was actually giving jobs to people, would that have a much better impact on the economy? Because if you give a wage to someone who's unemployed, they're likely to spend the vast majority of that, which means that the money cycles around the economy and creates a lasting good impact on the economy. If you give it to a bank to just shore up their balance sheet and it's just staying in their bank account, that doesn't have a lasting ongoing economic benefit
Yes.
to the country. Now, you could argue...
Can I just bring
Sorry.
Ronald in briefly? I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, police guards all over the place, a sense of tension building up in the capital here in London, demonstrations being planned, online attacks. I mean, it's almost military precision, the way some people are working to attack the bankers. What do you feel? Is it like, oh, well, about time?
No, I think it's a good thing, you see. It shows the freedom that we enjoy here. In spite of the shame, I don't know, how can I put it?
Shameful behaviour?
Yes, of bankers, including, I think the whole article is actually based on Sir Fred Goodman.
Yes.
The pension that he received, you know, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous, and quite frankly,
Do you think it's showing up the contradictions of, you know, I don't like to use labels, but it is capitalism, and that something new may come out as a result of this?
Yes. I don't think... there's an article which I wrote recently, come out in South Africa, and I was writing on the same issue. My argument then was that I don't think this is going to change the apex of capitalism, but the foundations of it surely have been changed and shaken violently, and I think in the next possibly 5 years or so, the attitude of capitalism will change.
And do you feel that as well? I mean, do you feel, you know, much more accountable, much more responsible expression of capitalism, more humane even?
I think that perhaps we have to relook at the whole way that we live our lives.
And you know what? I'm afraid bad timing on my part, but you know, we can't look at it because time is out for all of us at the moment, and we will continue this discussion. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. That's it for tonight. Tonight's guests were Ronald Iliwanda and Marco Pietropoli. Thank you very much for watching. Please email comments to us at bth@presstv.co.uk, and do join us again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, it's good night from the team.